Welcome back. This is your man Warrior, and I am a bit on a tangent today. I got 5 videos coming out today. It's one of my days off, so I love days like this where I can take some of the developed videos and get them uploaded to you guys. Of course, I don't always make them on the same day. I had 3 waiting, and I've made a couple of today. And of course, you're going to get a ton of fresh and new content. That's what I'm all about. I wanted to do the guild store. Now, the guild store, the reason why I waited the longest for the guild store is because there's really not a whole lot that you can farm out of the guild store. And most of the time when they drop, it's random, so it's hard to see what's all in there. So you really got to take the time to know what's every character that drops in there and where else can you farm those characters. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to my characters and we're going to go through the list. I'm going to go through the top 5 things or characters that you should be farming out of the guild store, and then I got a couple honorable mentions. The honorable mentions are characters that you very well might want to farm out of there, but you probably shouldn't unless you absolutely feel the need for those 2 characters. So the number 1 character that you should get out of the guild store unequivocally is Rey. I don't think anybody would disagree with this. I know there's a couple of people running droids that might say Jawa Engineer, but I would say Rey is absolutely one of the strongest characters in the game. I know with the new AoE meta, people are saying she's a thing of the past. I really don't think so. I think that she will have a place in this game forever. I would put her at a galaxy rating of 5. She is a must-have. And the thing is she's only got a couple of nodes to farm her out of. And so there's 3, and you got to unlock them, and one's at 7B, one's at 5D. Those are hard to get to. So really you get, for most people when they're early on, they only have that one initial node, the 2A. And they're not going to buy these data cards most of the time. So what happens is they just can't get Rey at super slow grinding, 1 shard a day out of that. But you can get her in the store. So the guild store is where I'd recommend it. You get 5 at a time when it drops. So I would definitely put Rey as a number 1 spot. Number 2, Jawa Engineer. Now this may make a few people extremely happy and a few people saying, hey man, what's up with Dengar? I thought scoundrels were kind of the cool thing. You get a lot of credits with scoundrels. Definitely Jawa Engineer and Dengar are awesome. And they're both exclusively farmed out of this store. So you've got to get both of them out of the store. But the reason why Jawa Engineer, in my opinion, edges out Dengar for the number 2 spot is Dengar is good for the previous raid. Jawa Engineer will be good for the upcoming raid. So if you're going to be farming, it's going to take time. If you're going to take time, by the time you get this guy maxed out, Dengar will be a thing of the past and Jawa Engineer will be who you needed. Plus, Jawa Engineer can be utilized for the, I think, critical chance or critical damage. I'll have to look again. I always forget which one. Critical damage. And critical damage mods are arguably one of the best mods in the game. So you're going to want to get Jawa Engineer for the critical damage mods. And this is the only place you can farm him. So I put Jawa Engineer in the number 2 slot. Number 3, Dengar. I do say that Dengar is going to be better. Now, I don't have Dengar very high. I know that everybody's like, oh, wow, you're putting him on the number, 3 spot and you didn't even do them. I have learned a lot in this game and I have changed priorities as I've learned. This is definitely one of the coolest scoundrels in the game. He's very usable in multiple parts of the game, and if your team decides to do the old raids versus the new raid, this is definitely going to be a character you'll want. The other thing is you can only find him either from, well, it drops occasionally in the shard shop, or if you want to get him out of this store, the guild store. So he's exclusive from the guild store essentially, unless he drops in the shard shop, and most people don't want the currency spent on him there. They want it spent on Darth Vader. But I would say Dengar is a very fun and very cool character, and there's a huge credit crunch, and so he's going to help you with your scoundrel team. Now you see me, I learned from my mistake. I did not have him at all in the first 2.5 months, and I had just recently unlocked him. And then of course I have now put him on hold for Jawa Engineer, who is on a higher priority scale for me in this list of individuals to unlock. So number 3 is Dengar. Number 4 character to go for. And again, he's pretty low. I just unlocked him just to unlock him. Grammorian Guard. Now, he has a very cool kit or sets of attacks and abilities. He's a very fun character to play. He is usable pretty much anywhere, although most people choose not to because he doesn't have a whole lot of synergy yet. But He is a scoundrel, and he is a tank. He'd make a very, very fun scoundrel tank when doing the credit heist or any of those other, the training bots or anything like that where you have to use a scoundrel team. And the only other thing is you can only get him, again, you can only get him in this guild store. So Rey, because she's just one of the best characters, she's definitely the best character in this lineup. And then it goes Jawa Engineer, Dengar, and Gamorrean Guard. And these three are exclusively available in this guild store. So if you're going to get these characters, this is the only way to get them. Now, number 5 is actually not a character at all. I personally would stop there, and I would only get, after those, gear, raid gear. And this is because you will never have enough raid gear. You will always be waiting and wanting for raid gear. And so because of that, after you get Rey, Jawa Engineer, Dengar, and Gamorrean Guard, which will, by the way, take forever to get all of them unlocked and 7-starred, I would stop and I would do raid gear. And if you don't see a need for Gamorrean Guard or Dengar, then don't do them and do raid gear. This stuff takes forever to get, and it's really, really hard to get, and so I would recommend raid gear. Now, I do have 2 honorable mentions. These are characters you can farm out of here, but I would not recommend it. By the way, every other character that you can farm in the guild store is available anywhere else in the game. You can farm them in the game in other spots. And so there's really no point in wasting your guild currency on them. But the 2 honorable mentions are going to be, and this is probably no surprise to some of them, Ewok Elder. I would put Ewok Elder as an honorable mention at the number 6 slot, kind of floating around with raid gear. If you need or want Ewok Elder, he's very cool. I know a lot of people that use him in the Galactic War. I know a lot of people that use him in the current raid. He is a super fun character. I've even seen him creep up a couple of times in the arena just because of his guaranteed bringing someone back to life. But I would say he's an honorable mention. If you really, really want him and you're not too worried about the raid gear, you could probably farm him out of there. Now, he is farmable in other areas of the game, but it's limited to these 2 slots. And so I would say that if you do want him and you want to get him kind of fast, that this would be one of those honorable mentions out of the guild store. The other character that's an honorable mention, and there is a reason why this character you would want to farm as well, is Resistance Trooper. Now, same thing, he's an honorable mention. He only has 2 slots to farm him, so he's a very slow farm. You might get out of those 6, 2 shards or 33% drop rate on average, and 2 shards a day is just a very painful experience to get an individual. Now, why would I be recommending Resistance Trooper as even a possibility? Because when it comes to Resistance characters, under mod challenges, arguably speed mods are really important. So this is my weakest section, and under required units, you do not have a choice. You must, to go to tier 3, have 5 of these characters, and there is currently only 5 in the game. So most people will be farming up Poe Dameron because he's a good tank, and he's great with many different teams. They'll be farming up Rey, and there's even a lot of people that really enjoy the Resistance Pilot. But I will say that you cannot get the Resistance Trooper any other way, basically, other than possibly getting him out of the guild store or slow farming him, just like Ewok Elder. So these are 2 honorable mentions. Resistance Trooper, if you want to go for the speed mods, you're definitely going to have to focus on Resistance Trooper and start to buy him, as well as Ewok Elder if you like him. But if you're not interested in the speed mods and Ewok Elder is not a character you're too interested in, I would bypass them since you can farm them traditionally, and I would stick with just getting Rey and then unlocking Jawa Engineer, Dengar, Gamorrean Guard, since they're exclusive in that store, and then stick with raid gear for the rest of your life, so that way you can get as much of the raid gear as possible. I know on raids you get raid gear, and I know you can occasionally buy raid gear, but I wanted to go over this. This store was requested as a video in the comment section about 3 weeks ago, so I wanted to make sure that I made this video. As always, if you like it, like, subscribe if you haven't yet subscribed. I give a ton of awesome and exclusive content, and I do have a video coming up very soon that will be exclusive to me, and it is a very, very, very cool and fun thing that is coming up that I will be doing a video on. I'll be the first person on YouTube to be doing it, so it will be fun and exciting. As always, keep your gaming on. Warrior out.